Hello and welcome to the Midnight Chimera, 7 Days to Die, Alpha 13. For this build, I will be taking you on a short tour of the Temple to Atharu. Now, if you're not familiar, Atharu is a fictional religion or cult that I created in the game to add a little bit of narrative flavor to the plot, to the survival. We can see ahead is the beacon to the shrine, designed to call the followers of Atharu to the temple. Now the temple is directly ahead. That is my build. Justin built this other building in the same style as the temple to match it. This is actually not the main base that we started on in this server. This base was the result of the game being too easy. The new release seems to, a combination of becoming better and better at this game, not just me, but the entire community, and also the new release, which seemed to dumb down the difficulty of the zombies. It became too easy of a game. So I decided to secede from our union in our community and declare war on the community as a means of creating a challenge. So the community split, half with me and half stayed with the loyalists, I guess you'd say. And I came to this other location in the burnt forest and built this temple to Atharu because I thought it would be very fitting to have it in these surroundings as opposed to the more lush greenery where I had come from originally, where we originally built together. Okay, so to get in, you have to jump this gap. High walls defend the entire interior here. And to get inside the temple proper, you have to actually take a leap of faith. This is the altar to Atharu. There's some pews here if you're waiting to show your faithful respects. On both sides we have the ceremonial bone shivs, various rites of passage. This is the actual altar. Now on both sides of the altar there are these openings for the remains of the sacrifices to be thrown down. Also, it could be because the tree down there glitched this block and I couldn't build anything there. That's really the real reason. And so I decided to make it symmetrical and just not build a block here as well. So that's the altar. Over here, we have a small ledge you can come out on. Go over the wall. Very menacing out there. I chose this location for that express purpose. I really wanted a place that would inspire the creepiness of the temple and fit it very well. And it feels creepy out there. It feels very isolated. It feels very isolated, but it doesn't feel threatening because as I mentioned before, the difficulty level, there really is no serious threat from the zombies. We're playing right now on some of the hardest difficulty settings that you can put on, and yet we still really have no threat. The only thing that's not set to the max is the day-night cycle, which is 60-40 day-night. This is the cooking area out here. original forge out here on the balcony, I had actually decided, I wanted to put several forges out on balconies like this to create an effect of kind of like fire coming out from the various areas of the temple. I made a lot of these jagged, jutting sections, again, to make the fort look more menacing. Oh, it's a blood moon. Guess what? We will not be attacked. It's not even a threat. It's like there's nothing. The most you get is a few stragglers that come by and you just blow them away very easily and just go back inside. Very disappointing. I'm hoping that for 14 they correct this problem and we can have a challenge again. That's really the reason why as I mentioned, I seceded from our community, was because it just became, it started to be a grinding game. I mean, it'd be grind for resources and then fight off a few stragglers, and that's it. You just grind for resources for no real purpose, and no challenge really. You're just creating resources so you can continue. This game works best when there's a serious feeling of fear, and you feel as though your base and your character are in jeopardy. In Alpha 13, I felt none of that. Some of the earlier builds, you know, obviously less skilled, so that has something to do with it as well. But seeing the enemies cracking down your walls while you're inside and you're counting the bullets you have, hoping that you have enough to shoot as many of them as you can until morning comes, that is really where this game shines. Aside from the crafting and the building, of course. But we just don't have that right now, so it's a little bit, it takes a lot away from it, because it really feels great when you can kind of hunker down in your fort and pray for morning to come. At the top of the temple, right here, is the shrine. Oh, and there's one of my backpacks. This is the shrine, where this is actually where the ceremonies or occult rituals or what have you would be performed. You can see there's a very large symbol of Atharu right here, great with the blood moon. And on the actual floor, we have candles and the symbol for Atharu also outlined. So the servants of Atharu come here to perform our dark rituals. And here's the beacon, which calls the faithful to the shrine. Now Justin did a great job of matching the style with his fortification over there. Definitely. He used the red. Red is Atharu's color, of course, if you're familiar. And it's also the only color block you can make in the game, so that's convenient. So I didn't mention here, this is the actual the area for the individuals, the most faithful individuals to Atharu, who would be tending to the temple. You might call them priests or monks or what have you, but this is their area, very humble living quarters. This room that I went through on the way up is the archives or the library. There's a little walkway out here as well. You can see down. Very menacing with all the pyres out there in the forest. Again, the creep factor is very, very high. If only there were more dread factor, because it's very infrequent that anything threatening actually comes out of those forests. I think this game could do very well with boss enemies, not just hordes. Not just a continual stream of zombies, but actual zombies that are of exceptional difficulty. I can think of perhaps at least 2 variants off the top of my head that would be very helpful. One would be a zombie that has the ability to do massive damage to blocks, but may not be that difficult to kill. So if you get a few of those attacking you, you have serious structural threats to your security as a base. The other, it would be a zombie that is just very hard to take down. Maybe some kind of a large mutant or something like that. Those would very much help to add flavor to the attacks and add difficulty to the game overall. Let me take you up the stairs as well. Through here we have the main forges, the main forge area. Again, I put these bars in because for defense against PvP. It was broken into at least once, I think twice the enemy broke in. Unfortunately, we did not get the time to really play an adequate PvP game because, well, I had real life obligations I needed to take care of, and let's face it, they're more important. So we may still get a little bit of that in before Alpha 14. We may not. We'll see. I'm doing the video now just to make sure that I do get a recording of this. This is the Holy Tree of Atharu. We have our required rotting flesh in the chest here to help with its growth. We also have candles here to give it some ambiance. This is really just a secure area, a bunker area. We're putting some pieces, some items in there. I'm not going to show you the details of it because I need that set up in the future for PvP in the future. There's not much to see though. It's just a little area for defending, keeping some items in there. Yeah, so Alpha 14 is about to come out. Well, hopefully soon. And in Alpha 14, I apologize for that constant door noise. They're very loud. In Alpha 14, we are supposed to be able to keep our bases. So there won't be any more of this, you know, build the base, have it completely destroyed, and then build another base, have that completely destroyed. That should be coming to an end, and that would be very refreshing. The first few times we did that, and it was alright. It's kind of like, oh, it's a new beginning. Let's start over. But now, no, it's getting a little annoying. So we're looking forward to building a community together. Do another community build on the next release. However, that will be somewhat contingent upon the developer's ability to make it a challenge again. So hopefully it will be challenging. Hopefully the zombies will come back in force and create real threats, serious threats that will bring us together as a community so that we can fight against the zombies together. And that will be enough entertainment in itself. If it is not, then I am perfectly happy with branching off once again and declaring war. The game has to be fun. It's got to be a challenge. We play these on relatively hard settings. I like to always elect for the hardest possible settings to play on to add to the challenge. I'm not a big fan of wasting time and kind of just grinding away so that I can say I'm level whatever. I want to actually experience the adrenaline and fear and atmosphere of the world that I'm in. And this is supposed to be a post-apocalyptic, I mean, it's a zombie apocalypse. It should be terrifying. So hopefully that will be taken care of. And in the next build, we should be able to lay permanent bases down, which we will not have to continually then record and post because we're terrified that our stuff is all going to get trashed. So that'll be a very, very welcome change. Another thing I would recommend possibly is the ability for the administrators of... Ooh, that was disgusting. The ability of the administrators to change how many zombies are attacking. For instance, if it's not hard enough, there should be a zombie meter or some kind of a gauge that the administrators can click up to not just increase zombie spawn rate, or, I mean, I know we have control over those kinds of things, but something that will go above and beyond the current settings. Anything that will give us, if we can drastically increase the strength of the zombies, maybe not so much the number because it'll lag out the game, but if we could drastically increase the strength, maybe that would be helpful. It would also be helpful if maybe the enemies would incrementally increase their own strength or their own intensity or the number of them that are spawned based on things like how big your base is, how high your skill points are, etc. That would be, I think, very helpful to add to the realism and the overall fear factor. Again, just some recommendations. Now, I'm not going to take you inside of Justin's build because he's not here, and also there's not a lot to see. So mainly it's open on all of the floors from what I saw when I kind of trespassed in there, which is why there is a wooden crate there that I accidentally left. I don't know what's down underneath though, because I have not been in there. Over here though, I do want to point out one thing. There's our little tree forest. I planted our tree farm. I planted those. This is our farm, and it was very strategic because Justin was going to be the farmer, and there happened to be a barn in this location that I chose for the temple, so it worked out very well to have it here as well. Okay, so that's the temple for Atharu. Next build, like I said, hopefully it's going to be a challenge, and I really want it to be a challenge so we can all work as a community again. If that's the case, I am thinking about making another temple of Atharu, maybe something a little bit better. This one was thrown together rather hastily because of my kind of somewhat, wouldn't say desperate, but intense desire to make the game more interesting. So I started building it rather quickly, and I'm not displeased with it. I like it. I think it looks very unique, but there are some things that I would have changed to make it look nicer. So if I build another temple, I will take those things into account and make it look a little bit different. I wanted to go, again, for jagged looks, these spires and spikes jutting out, torches and fire all over the place. And, of course, the iron bars, the ruggedness, kind of a slightly asymmetrical shape. But I would change some things for a more proper temple, which I may do in the future. Oh, that is what I was going to say. I knew I forgot something. Those horizontal pieces going across, those were not a part of the original design. They kind of muddle it up and make it a little dirty looking. The reason that those are there is because after the first infiltration into the temple, I realized that we were very vulnerable because the windows, as I already pretty much knew, are very vulnerable to attack. They don't take a lot of damage, even with land claim blocks down. So I put in, again, very hastily, I put in these defensive ridges that go along the sides so that you can't just smash a window and run right inside. So that's why those are there. Okay. Oh, and incidentally, there is another video I will link to in the description of a much nicer build on this particular build of ours. Somebody else in our community for the opposing team who was not actually engaged in combat, really. She was just kind of like, let me build over here by myself. She built a fantastic structure. Actually, really two structures attached, and I will link to her video. It's a very nice build indeed. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great one.